There's no hiding at all. Every move is like switch on and you have to do it absolutely properly. And if you don't, you're off. 2 out of the 3 clips. If you miss this clip, you might hit the ground. Oh, like, I love being on it, but I'm also gonna love having climbed it.
The hardest part of climbing it at this level is you've just got to be okay with, you know what, today's just not the day.
I've lost all touch with how hard it actually is. It's just so far gone from what actually makes sense with what is hard. Easily 60 plus days on it, and there's days where I've been like brain frazzled, there's days that have been bad conditions.
Bit wet.
Oh, it's delicious. I think we might die.
Should I have even turned up today and therefore can I even count this as
Does
a day?
that count as a day?
Yeah.
I've never been on anything else ever in my life that is this hard. It's fun because I get to actually just jump on and enjoy going climbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, initially I was thinking it's probably 13 into 13.
Yeah.
Without even a sniff of a rest.
Yeah.
You could also be 11 into 11, or it could be 14 into 14, or it could, like, it's just, it's so far beyond now what makes sense.
Yeah.
I've really struggled to sit down and make this video because how do you sum up 7 years of being completely consumed by a piece of climbing and transfer what has happened in here and in my head to you? The climber that started this process in 2017 is really different to the one sat here right now talking to you. So I bolted 2 projects back in 2015 down at the Underworld. I didn't really try them that much then, but came back in 2017 and put a couple of days into the straight up version, which I called Sack of Woe, and climbed it at around grade 33. 8 really bouldery, punchy, hard moves that was entirely different to any other route that I'd ever tried in the Blue Mountains or anywhere, really. Straight after doing Sack of Woe, I flicked my drawers over and started going to work on what I had dubbed the Hump of Trouble project. Immediately I realized that this was very hard. Every single one of the 15 moves is just totally in your face. There's no reprieve. Trying to work out the sequences on something this hard was quite a strange thing because there was multiple ways I worked out to do a lot of these moves, but it was always quite tricky to find that balance of like, well, this is the easiest way to do this move, but it doesn't really link into the next one. So there's kind of this like maze that you have to work through to find what will work best when you're up the top there, having come from the ground, as opposed to a good off the rope sequence.
Come on!
It took me the rest of that 2017 season to work out how to maybe even get through those 15 moves. Despite the difficulty of the moves though, it never really occurred to me that this wasn't something that I would be able to do, because everything else I've ever gotten on, it's like, well, yeah, I just need to work out how to put this together and it'll happen. The fire was lit under my bum though, and I would be back.
Dang! That's alright. Yeah.
2018 rolled around. Straight away I was feeling quite confident on the route and starting to put together some better links. It had been about 20 days in the previous season, which is about the longest I'd ever spent on any project ever at that point, and I'd barely done the moves and started linking them together. I was really focused on trying to get the 2 halves done at this point and then start working towards overlapping them or doing the 2 halves in a single day and then a single tie-in, and just breaking it down so that each day I went there I had just this like really small kind of attainable goal and was just chipping away at the red point process. And it was quite fun because it just show up and go, oh sweet, today I want to just like feel a little bit better on this. And I wouldn't always achieve what I'd set out for that day, but would try and just find like that little win and go, oh cool, I felt just a little bit better on that, or I worked out that that shoe doesn't work, or make sure your toothbrush is in your chalk bag before you leave the ground. Just little things, and it just kept me motivated. And there was never really a point where it had felt overwhelming, or even like that I was kilometers away from a red point, because it always just felt like a fun game to show up and just work out what I needed to do next.
Okay. Yep. Come on. Good, Tom. Awesome, man. Come on. Yep. Come on, dude. Nice one. Come on, Tom. Awesome, dude. Come on, hold it. Come on. Come on, Tom. Come on. Good one.
Oh, I've never fucking one-hung that. Yes.
Awesome.
By the end of 2018, to be honest, I was just feeling a little bit fatigued from showing up to the same cliff over and over and over, and just sort of banging my head against the wall in a fun way, but there just needed to be a bit of a shift. When 2019 rolled around, I had a more deliberate approach. I really needed to up my bouldering level. I'd been far more of a pumper kind of climber and had neglected the like proper power and strength that this route really was screaming out for. It's essentially V11, V12 boulder problems on top of each other without a rest. There's barely even time to think or breathe properly. So having put in a bit of effort into my bouldering, coming into that season, I was feeling even better again and was really quickly up to my previous high point and starting to feel like this actually really was something that was going to happen. The tricky thing about this season was that I had decided to try out for the Olympics, and in the lead up and preparation for all of that, I thought I should probably have gone into a few World Cups before stepping onto the Olympic stage, potentially. So I had a trip to Europe and Japan smack bang in the middle of the Underworld season. I was sharing a little bit of the process of trying this thing on social media and starting to kind of guess at how long I'd now spent on it, which was ballpark in that kind of 45 days, I think. And people started to ask me, well, if you've spent this much time on it, like, could this be the hardest piece of climbing in the country? Honestly, I'd never really approached my climbing or thought about climbing in that way. Like, this is the first person to have climbed this, or blah, blah, blah. Like, I just want to go climbing, and I want to have fun with my climbing and not take things all that seriously. But as soon as that story of like this could be 36, that really got in my head and I got totally caught up in it. And this really coincided with some very good attempts that I was having, falling off quite close to the top.
Come on, Tom. Strong, dude. Good.
And as I started to think, well, I'm only a couple of moves away from climbing this, and this is the hardest route in the country potentially, the head noise just turned up to full volume. I didn't feel like I was able to actually climb the way that I want to climb, just free and loose and enjoy myself. It just felt like this chore, and I had to try and like strangle out the red point, and it felt so so inauthentic, but I couldn't escape these feelings. I tried so many different things, but ended up just coming back to this idea that I couldn't climb to the top if I stuffed up this move. So just concentrate on one move at a time. As the days closed in before I flew out to Europe, I was able to find this pressure release moment on the route and just climb and feel like this slither of the old me was actually there. And I found myself just feeling good on the route again.
Come on, come on, come on. Awesome, man. Come on, you got it. Come on. Come on, come on.
But then when I stuck this hold, everything just came flooding back in. All of that noise, my feet plant on the wall, and I think, oh my God, Tom, you have done this, you little ripper. This is the first 36 in Australia, and you have just bloody done it, mate. You've never fallen on this move, ever. Let's go.
Come on, come on, come on. Come on, man. Come on, come on.
I really cringe looking back at this because I choked. I'd gotten ahead of myself and thought about the victory before having done the next move and unleashed a tantrum I hope to never match the level of, because that's just poor behaviour.
Wow. Fuck, man. I thought you had it.
Wow.
Fucking hell.
I'll come down.
That was hand over it, wasn't it?
Missed it. Hand over it.
Dude, it's getting closer and closer.
Oh, you can't be any closer.
I was able to get down there for a few more days after this, but just couldn't get back there. I couldn't find a clear headspace, and I just kind of went backwards. As 2020 rolled through, things progressed in the way that we all know they did, and the Olympic qualifying event got called off. And suddenly I was like, far out, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm gonna go down to Hump of Trouble. It's pretty much that time of year. And then injured myself.
Come on, Tom.
Come on.
Come on, Tom. Come on.
Come on.
Nice one.
Something just went cracking my knee. It took about 4 months to recover, and by that time they'd called the Olympic qualifying event on for the end of that year. So there's no time to go and jump on Hump of Trouble. It was full steam ahead at trying to qualify for the Olympics. At the end of that year, I ended up qualifying to represent Australia at the Olympics, and it was a complete dream come true. But there's just this little part in the back of my mind thinking, oh no, I'm gonna miss out on a bit of time on Hump of Trouble next year. The first 6 months of 2021 was a completely brutal 6 months of training that wrecked me physically and mentally in ways that I can't even describe, really. Come back inside. School pickup time. The rest of it's gonna have to wait until we're home. But I show up to Tokyo to give it my all. After coming home, I just needed a break. Despite being in the middle of the prime season for down there, I just didn't have the mental capacity to show up and try hard in the way that that route needed me to do. When 2022 rolled around, it just did nothing but rain. Despite having put in a bunch of training and feeling even stronger than I ever had, I just didn't get the opportunity to get down there, and there's this mental load and strain that it takes to try and be in the best form that you can be, and you can't sustain that for long periods of time. And it just hurt too much to just keep holding on to the hope that it could happen, so I ended up just throwing in the towel. 2023 rolled around and I'd realised that I'd spent 3 years off the route and 3 years on the route, and felt really nervous about going back there. I'd put in another good little training block and concentrated on keeping my bouldering strength up and felt like a completely different climber, but quite nervous. What if I got down there and worked out that despite everything, I still wasn't good enough. And this is the first little bit of doubt that had started to creep in about this route. On paper, I knew that I was strong and better and everything was ticked boxes. But that distance had played a trick on me. I put off trying it for the first time later than I usually would have, but realized that I just needed to take a step and just go, okay, let's just see what happens. No pressure, like if it doesn't happen this year, let's just take a step. And tying in for that first time again just felt so good, and I remembered all of the subtleties coming flooding back, and it just like, it felt like my own little special place again and my own little special puzzle to play with. And all of the doubts and everything just flew away, and it's just like, cool, I'm back playing with my little toy. It took 3 or 4 days to get everything back into alignment and reacquainted with the subtleties of the route again and feel like, hey, yeah, this is it. This is feeling good.
Nice, come on.
But despite feeling better on these moves than I ever had, after 6, 7, 8 days, I still hadn't gotten remotely close to my old high point, and I was starting to feel a little bit worried that somehow something was gone and maybe it wasn't coming back. But I just kept on telling myself that I just needed to keep showing up, putting in the work, chipping away at it, and one day it would happen. Then suddenly on day 9, on my bolt-to-bolt warm-up that I would do every single time, the moves felt really good. And I had this little twinkle in the back of my mind that this could be the one. I pulled on for my first red point go, and suddenly I'm back here.
Easy, come on. Get it in. You got it. Come on. Come on.
Oh, fuck, I was nervous.
Nice.
Wow. I was psyched on this attempt for 2 reasons. One, far out, I'm back here again and felt very good. But 2, I didn't chuck a wobbly, and I just felt really content at being back here and feeling like me and feeling like this was the Tom that I always wanted to show up. Not to do with strength, but to do with the mindset of just me going climbing, back to being a frothed out 14-year-old, just enjoying going climbing. So I tied in for go number 2 with a great big grin on my face.
Go on, Tom.
Despite falling there again, I still just felt really psyched and happy. However, at this point, that final pocket that you grab takes a real tax on your skin. Front 2 was always my best 2 fingers in there because this is the way that the hold works. And when that finger got a bit too raw, I would end up going middle 2, which never felt quite as good, but still kind of worked. I felt like I had enough juice for a 3rd go that day and felt like it could be the one, but felt like with that little bit of fatigue in my body and grabbing it with the not best 2 fingers, maybe it wasn't gonna work out. I could tape up that middle finger, but it just never really worked. The pocket always felt a little bit slippery with tape on, and I could never quite get the full knuckles up that I needed on some of the other holds on the route. I was gonna be back in a few days' time, so I thought maybe I could just like hope that the skin comes back. Maybe if I'm feeling good today, I could feel good then. The conditions were looking good, and maybe that was the smarter, safer option. But realistically, there's probably only one good attempt on that day anyway, because the skin really was quite thin. There was a 3rd option, and that was to go with the front 2 without tape and kind of risk it all, knowing that, yeah, I'd have the best pull and everything off that hold, but it would rip open and take weeks to repair, and I would give up a lot of days of climbing. As I was getting all my gear ready to tie in for the third time, I was chatting with my belayer about commitment, and we were talking about times where we've kind of just risked it all to try and make it happen. And I figured at a certain point I needed to stop thinking about my next attempt, my next day on the route, my next season, and I needed to actually just commit to what was right here in front of me. One move at a time, one tie-in at a time, and just put everything on red.
Easy, go. Oh. Oh. Ah. Come on, you got it. You got it, Tom. Come on, get it in. Come on, full commit.
Oh.
Nice, man. Heels up. Keep concentrating. Good one. Take your time. No rush. Nice. Good one.
Oh my god, dude.
What a pile
Like,
of... You didn't even struggle.
fuck.
What a pile of jugs.
Oh. Look at that. The pocket.
Oh, nice.
You're like, just go for it.
Man,
It's like, yeah, just
go.
fucking go for
Yeah,
it.
come on, break the cycle. You're not coming back, and you're not.
Fuck yes. Oh my fuck! Oh, I'm like oozing blood everywhere.
Nice.
Yes!
Man, that was awesome. Well done. That was sick. Good job, man. Good job. That was great.
Dude.
That was awesome. It was a pleasure to watch.
Oh man. You know, you just like go through all of that like just fucking anguish and torture. You just think like, where is the end? What do you need me to do?
What more can I give?
Yeah. You
And they
just gotta keep showing up.
just gotta do it.
And I felt it open as I like breathed into it. I'm like,
This is it.
go for it. Like my fingers felt good, not cold.
And that's it. You gotta fucking go for it. Hey, there's no tomorrow. Not yet.
Not anymore.